Howdy gang, Kevin here. Just kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things. This will be a very low substance video, just so you know. I'm going to drink a little Green River whiskey while I'm doing it. This is not a cigar and whiskey talk. Although for next week's cigar and whiskey talk, I might actually do that tomorrow. Because Monday I normally do them, and Monday's Christmas, so I may or may not actually do that on this. I think my camera's tilted a little bit. It looks off to me. Let's see if we can fix that. And it looks a little better. Of course, it still got me in it, so. Anyway, I found it funny yesterday. After I posted the stove video last night, Dave's video popped up on my thing, and I found it funny that we were both doing French press stuff on the same day. Now, don't get me wrong, that's happened before. Back a year or so ago, we both ended up doing a Black Sabbath video on the same day, and all kinds of stuff. So it actually happens more often than not. It was not planned, folks. Was not planned. I kind of just want to talk about some of the stuff we talked about in the last couple of weeks, and answer some comments that are on that were on a few videos. This beaver hide has been mentioned. I got this beaver hide from a good friend of mine, John Dosh, over at Passing On Wilderness Skills, and I just like it. So that's why it's there. I've had some comments go, is that a beaver hide? Yes, that's a beaver hide. And it's tanned and all that stuff, so it's going to be on the back of my chair for a while. He's got a couple of nice otters. Might have to talk him out of a couple of those. Maybe they'd look good. They'd be good armrest things. I don't think I'm gonna, because he really likes the otters. But anyhow, let's see what other comments have been made. My buddy Matt over at Black Hat Bushcraft, he made a couple of comments on the last 2 or 3 videos, and I'll just go ahead and answer those now. The Lester River Boreal shirt that I just got, the blue one with the yellow, white, and red stripes. No, it was not a one-off. They had actually posted that on their Facebook page in a different size, and I messaged them to see if they could do an extra large for me, and they did. And that's how I ended up with that particular color scheme. And no, it wasn't an original idea. I just happened to like the pattern when he put it up. So that's it. And Matt, once again, I do like that stove I got, and I know those stoves you're talking about with the basically flashing chimney pipe that you unroll and then roll the opposite way to get it to stand up into a pipe and put the rings on it. I've never really liked those because they seem just way too flimsy for me. They're kind of common in a lot of the titanium tents or titanium tent stoves, and we've used them. Dave's had a couple. I know you've got one, and yeah, I know the difference. I like the rigid pipe better, which makes it bulkier for packing, because those type of stoves don't normally, with that flashing type of stovepipe that you roll up, they normally fold and are a lot more compact. The stove like I've got is not compact at all, so that would be more of a base camp kind of thing. It's kind of the stove I've got is kind of heavy. It's probably 12 pounds. So with the pipe and all that stuff, so it's not something you would backpack with. Anyway, who else asked me questions? The beaver came up. Several questions about the stove. I'll tell you what I did with the stove last night. I kind of closed out the video drinking my coffee, and I put 2 large 2.5, 3-inch diameter logs in there, larger than I had been putting in there. And I damped everything down just to see how long it would burn. And let me preface this to say, like I said in the video last night, that was not high quality seasoned wood. It was just dead stuff that was laying around. And it still burned 45 minutes, 55 minutes before it burned down enough where I wanted to put something else in there. And so you can kind of gauge how much wood you would need during the night if you had that in a tent. And I, like I said, I don't have a hot tent. When I told my wife I didn't have a hot tent, she said, "You got the hot tent," and I go, "I don't really have a hot tent." And she goes, "Well, what about that military tent you've got?" Well, it's a GP medium, so I don't think that stove is going to heat a GP medium. And that's the only stove I own that's got a stove jack, or the only tent I own that's got a stove jack in it. So I don't think that stove's gonna heat a GP medium on even a good day. But anyway, I might get a hold of a hot tent and play with that a little bit. I'm not a big hot tent guy. I'll be honest with you. I would rather roll my bedroll out and sleep on the ground or sleep in a hammock than carry a big bulky tent and carry a big bulky stove and all that kind of stuff. That's just how I do it. And anybody who's been to the school can attest to that, because I normally just lay on the ground or lay in my hammock. So, I might get a hot tent. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. What else did I do to that stove last night? A couple of times I packed it just as full as I could with smalls, so to get a real fast hot fire. I had the first 3, almost 4 sections of stovepipe just glowing cherry red. And I did that 3 or 4 times, let it heat up, let all that burn out, throw it in there again, and just to see if it would warp at all when it cooled back down. And checking it out there today, got no warping going on, nothing going on bad yet. I was asked about that little stove grate that goes in the bottom of that thing. Do I think it's going to hold up? And I didn't have high hopes for it holding up, because it's actually kind of thin. The grate itself is. The metal's a lot thicker than it looks on camera. It's, like I said, it's a fairly substantial stove. It's probably 12 or 14 pound with the stovepipe. Maybe a little more. I don't know. So it's substantial enough. I'm not really worried about it, especially after what I did to it last night. As a matter of fact, after the wife got home from work last night, she asked me if I did the video. I said yeah, and I said, "You want to see the tent set, or see the stove set up?" So we walked back out there, and it still had some hot coals in it. She got home about, I don't know, late last night. My wife always comes home late from work. She's got one of those jobs that they work overtime almost every day. But I fired it back up again. And that time I just shoved it full of, I had a cardboard box laying there, so I ripped the cardboard box apart and rolled it tight, and just started shoving all that in there, and got it glowing cherry red again. The pipes itself, I never got the stove box hot enough where it got any glow going to it. But there's there's windows on both sides and windows in the door, so you would have to get it pretty hot to get it glowing. And it's got that big cutout on the top. So if anything was gonna heat, there was probably heat escaping through there. That doesn't fit in tight. It's got a little recess that it slides into, so it doesn't slide around on top of your stove. But it's not fastened in there in any way. It's just sitting there. So I got it probably glowing just cherry red. The stovepipe itself up 3 or 4 sections, probably 4 or 5 times last night, and going out there today, still see no problems. That fire grate, I didn't expect it to hold up really well, but it did so far. I don't think it's heavy enough for long-term use, but the problem with it is, anyway, it's really nice to get your fire up off the bottom of the firebox just a little bit, but that only happens until you get some ashes in there filling in that gap underneath. And after you've burned 4 or 5 fairly decent-sized pieces of wood in there, all that air gap is gone, because that all fills up with ash. So it's nice, but most of the stoves that I've seen, but that they don't really have that grate in the bottom anyway. If it's a substantial grate, if I was going to put a substantial grate in there, I would probably go to the hardware store and get myself a piece of expanded metal mesh and cut it to size. So, with all that being said, oh, one more thing. Had some questions about the Gathering. I've told you before, the Gathering is a co-branded event this year, a co-sponsored event us and OSS Boot Camp are doing the Gathering together. Their OSS Boot Camp and the Gathering are running concurrently at the same place, and we're actually headlining us teaching and all those kind of things at that event. But it's not a gathering per se. Our gathering is going to be there, so we're going to host it there, but it's going to go along with OSS Boot Camp. And as such, if you didn't purchase your tickets early, when we advertised them early, right after the gathering last year, then if you want tickets now to that event, you have to buy the tickets to the OSS Boot Camp, which also gets you the gathering. So, with all that being said, folks have asked about helper staff. We're not going to have a lot of helpers there, probably 4, which normally we've got 10, because most of the stuff is going to be handled by OSS staff. So, if you are on the helper list, and it's probably going to be helpers that have already helped us in the past, probably not going to be anybody new, because we're only going to have like 4 this year, and that's probably what's going on. So, I think that's it. This has been kind of a disconnected, kind of incoherent babble going on because I haven't had any sleep since yesterday. I'm getting spells where I just don't sleep at night. And I didn't sleep last night, and I was busy all day today, so I'm looking forward to drinking the rest of this whiskey and probably going to bed. Hopefully. So, with all that being said, thanks for your views, thanks for your support, and I don't know what happened with these 2 stove videos, but I got like triple the views I normally get on both of those, so I don't know if it was the word Temu in the title. I don't know if it was because I did a teaser video, or I don't know if it's a lot of people want to see wood stove videos. So, put your opinion on that in the comments. See you all in the woods!